got a couple riding mowers here this morning with tires that are either off the bead or flat in various states. I'm going to show you the easiest way to get these back on the bead and aired up, regardless of what kind of tools you have. That one looks like it's on the bead on the left, but just flat. This one looks like it's off the bead on the inside. And we've got a tire in the back that's off the bead. There's quite a few different ways that people say to do this, but at home, without really any tools, I'll show you the easiest way. Now, you will need an air compressor. If you don't have an air compressor, it's going to be almost impossible to get this back on there by yourself. Take it to a tire shop. That or follow these instructions. You can borrow an air compressor. The first thing, you want to jack it up or get the wheel where there's no pressure on it so you can work on it. You can take it completely off of the mower at this point if you'd like, if that's easier for you. And you can do that by removing the cap that's on it. This one seems kind of still soft. If it's real hard, you can heat it up with a lighter just around the outside or with a torch, and it'll just kind of free it up a little bit and make it easier to get off of there. Now that just pops off, just a little clip. You just take and pry it up, and then you've got a little keeper. And then the whole rim would come off. I'm not going to remove this right this second. We're gonna try to do it right here on the tractor. Put it back on. You just either use a pair of pliers or a screwdriver. Once we've got it up like this, you can see how it already starts to kind of form around the outside, kind of starts to take that shape a little bit better without even really doing anything to it. Check all the way around the rim. You want to make sure that there's nothing in this pocket right here. This is where the bead sets. If the bead can't sit along there, if there's any kind of adhesive or there's any kind of rust, anything there will cause this tire not to seat. You'll also want to check along the bead of the tire along the inside. Make sure there's nothing along there, all the way around. As long as there's nothing on these, we can just put this tire right back on. Clean it up real well. Drag. Everything is looking good. We still have the problem that this thing is not, if we try to air this up at this point, it's not going to do anything whatsoever. It's just the air is going to come back out. It's going to be very hard to get this aired up without the method I'm going to show you. Air compressor, again, is the key. There is a valve core in here. You can remove that, and all that does is allow air to flow quicker into the tire. If you don't remove that, you'll get air into the tire, but it's not flowing quick enough to pop the outsides of this tire back out to seat to the bead. You can try it first. A lot of times you can, if the tire hasn't been flat for long or isn't in a weird contorted shape like this one is, a lot of times you can take it, and as you're adding air, you can just go ahead and either stomp on it or hit on it. And a lot of times that will kind of flare it out and seat it to the bead. That's not the case here. This one's going to be difficult. That's good. That's what we want. Go grab you a ratchet strap. If you have a ratchet strap handy, great. If you don't, go grab one. They're a couple bucks. We're going to set the ratchet strap straight across. Go through. We're going to pull it. And then we're going to lay it over the tire and rotate it around. We come here, we'll just link the two together, pull it tight, and we're just going to lightly ratchet it in the middle. As you're ratcheting, you want to go around from edge to edge and just push in the different spots as you're ratcheting. You don't want it to pull tight just right here. And a lot of times if you don't push it in different spots as you're tightening, it will just create one dimpled spot right here where your adjustment is, and that's not what you're wanting. You're not wanting one big spot. You're wanting it to evenly pinch the middle to make the sides press out. Just keep going around. Try to do it as centered as you can. We're a lot closer at this point. We'll give it another shot since it looks like it's a little better. You can do the same hitting trick on it as you're doing it. Nice and easy, that thing is back on. If they're extremely, now you just take the ratchet strap out. For those of you that don't know how to use a ratchet strap, you just take the tension off, pull it, and it releases. Be careful your finger's not in there. Ratchet strap is off. Now we do have the issue that the valve core is not in here. I'm gonna air this up. About 14 pounds is what it's supposed to have. As soon as I take the air off, all that air is gonna pour out, but I'm gonna put my valve core right back in before it actually goes flat. Get that up to 14, and then what you'll do is spray down along the bead around the outside. It looks like I got that's just a piece of the tire, I guess. Spray down all around the bead on both sides. Make sure that there's no leaking. Also spray around the valve stem and the valve core. If there's any bubbles at all coming from any kind of detergent you use, or we use Simple Green, nice and easy, but if there's any bubbling going on whatsoever, even soapy water you can use. That means that there's a leak in the tire, and you'll want to address that. Otherwise, you'll end up right back in the same boat. Let's take a look at these Craftsman tires. If the strap trick didn't work for you and yours is all contorted, 2 straps, one on the inside and one on the outside, will do the trick. And you'll tighten those up and again, kind of go around and push it in and make sure the whole thing comes in together at once, not with one side flattened down or 2 sides flattened in. You want it all to kind of come together. Don't keep cranking down where it's too tight in one area or the other. Wherever this flat spot is, a lot of times when they've been sitting, they'll have dry rotting to it. So if you're seeing cracking, yeah, this one was definitely left outside, all right. If you see cracking all over it, something like that, replace that tire. Don't bother going through all this just to, have to replace it again soon. And then all this stuff around the bead, some sort of bead sealant. We usually use a bead sealant when we install new tires, but this stuff is really, really built up. It's not in good shape at all. You'd have to clean all that off. Was that the case if one of these was off the bead? Otherwise, it's just gonna go flat again. This one doesn't show any signs of dry rotting. That happens when we air it up. A lot of times, they won't seat along the bead, and if you don't take out the valve stem at this point, they won't air up. We're gonna try it with the valve stem in right up. And about 14 pounds there. Thought it sounded like it was leaking, but I think that's just the air compressor on the other side. This one is definitely quite a bit worse, but not quite as bad as the John Deere one we had. Let's jack this up a little bit, get the pressure off that tire. Looks like the bead's set on that side, just not at the other side. I don't see any signs of dry rotting or anything. See, just getting the weight off of it puts that bead a lot closer to where it needs to be to begin with. Again, you can take it off if it's easier for you. I think it's just as easy leaving it right on the way that it is. Now say that you've tried this strap trick, say that you've tried the 2-strap trick, and you still can't get it back on. Well, there's some difficult tires out there sometimes. I will definitely tell you that much. Difficult tires, a little bit of magic bead sealer. Bead Buster tire mount lubricant paste. This stuff is very expensive. We used to be able to get it for a pretty good price in a bulk container. Ever since COVID, I'm not able to find it. If somebody knows where to find some good stuff for cheap, this stuff's about $20 a pound. It's a real thick grease, and what you do is basically wherever the bead isn't sealed, so say there was a gap right here where it's not sealed, you just slather this over the top of it and that creates the seal for you. The air can escape there, and you can reuse it as long as you clean up your tire and everything. Once you put that on there and the tire expands, you can pull that paste right back off and throw it in the jar and reuse it. This stuff comes in handy. We use it a lot. Don't leave the lid off. It will dry out and be ruined. We're doing the same thing here we did on the other one. Seems I got the strap twisted in a few spots and some other stuff. It's going pretty good. And again, I'm just going around giving it, pulling the slack from where I want to as we're tightening it down. Again, if you don't do that, you'll get it real bad like that. Oh, it looks like this tire is dry rotted. Probably there where it was sitting flat for so long. We're gonna replace that one too, but I'm trying it without the valve core removed. And you can use a regular screwdriver to remove these also. It doesn't have to be a valve core remover. This will give it more air. Works pretty much every time like that. Again, if you're having real difficulties with it, or you can't physically hit it that hard, try the 2-strap method. One here and one there, all the way around. Again, we're gonna have to replace this tire anyway, but I will go ahead and put some air in it for the sake of getting it on the table to diagnose anything else that's wrong with it. Well, that didn't work out well. That's okay, even if you lose all the air, they usually stay sealed to the bead. You can just air it right back up. And a lot of times if it starts to lose air at that point, you can just hit it again and it'll be good. Not wanting to seat real well up. There it is. Good stuff. That's 3 out of the 4 that we needed to check out and get taken care of. On this one, it looks like it is just, so the bead on the back side is good. This bead is bad. We're gonna jack up the back and then we're gonna strap it, and I'm gonna show you how to use that bead buster on the front. I've always used the specialized stuff that's meant for it, but I'm sure there is something out there that is available that's just a thick grease that's not meant for mounting paste. So any grease may work. I'm gonna take the valve core out. Not wanting to seal. Not surprising. Almost got it around. Just trying to get it to a good enough spot where I have some area to ratchet it, and then we'll get it. picture. Close it some. That's probably pretty close where we could use it. It doesn't look like it quite seals. So if you had your bead buster here that you were using, you basically just take this, clean up that tire a little bit. Usually I'll wipe them down a little better than that. I don't want all that stuff in it. And the rim looks clean around the bead there, so I'm not worried about that. But basically all we do is shove this stuff all down in that hole. All the way around. All down in the grooves. You can do as little or as much as you want. Could probably take a little more over here. Still blowing that out, not quite enough in there. Well, not working real well right this second. Tighten up that strap a little bit more. This was supposed to be the easy one on the back, but they are large tires. Try it one more time with this hook down in. There it goes. Down in. There you go. Not sure why my gauge isn't registering. It's definitely got some pressure in it. Strange. Well, there you have it. The bead is now back on. Take your strap off. Valve stem or valve core back in. I always misspeak on that part of it. And save our liquid gold. Majority of what I pulled out goes right back in. You definitely lose some, but it helps out, and it is a miracle worker to help on some of the harder tires. Otherwise you struggle with them. Now that one, if I wouldn't have had bead buster, we probably would have used the 2-strap method and strapped them a little bit tighter in order to seal that bead up a little bit better. Hopefully this helps you if you have a flat tire as you're trying to get back on the bead. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.